Hello, hello. Happy Tuesday. How's it going, y'all? Hey, Magoo. Rhiannon. Sapphire. What's up, y'all? Happy Tuesday. New week. Brand new week. Same old problems. So. Forgot to turn my lights on. It actually just looked better without lights. That's probably not true. Giant Dave. I know. I never use this. This is for when we have heart to heart, so I can make eye contact with the camera and we can like, yeah. Let's screen share. Start co-working. Hey, Nanigans. How's it going? What up, Jacob? Happy Tuesday. Anyone do Global Game Jam or Public Domain Jam or any of the other things that was happening last weekend? Not I. We're focused. All right, I did a bunch of stuff last night. I rewrote the whole pack CanvasItem draw params thing. Rearranged this whole mess. I also wrote the Godot side, so what happens after we call send CanvasItem draw params. And we get our tile mosaic node, and we send over the draws, the primitive byte array, the packed byte array, the primitive bytes array. Whatever you want to call it. We send it over, ideally without a copy. It's wishful thinking on my part, maybe, but, you know, we try. And then stuff happens over in Godot. And I wrote that. And there are no errors, but also nothing draws on the screen. And it was like 11:30, and I was like, you know what? No errors is like good enough. feel like it's greedy to ask for something to also be getting drawn onto the screen, you know what I mean? I made a incredibly scuffed little texture registry that we can use. We're gonna definitely rewrite that. Rhiannon, you're doing the look. You're looking at your project for a few minutes every day, not actually have time to work on it, Jam. Ah, right. That's a good one. You have a feeling there are a lot of people doing the same jam. Yeah, I think that is probably a pretty popular marathon jam. It's like a month until our next jam, which is terrifying, but also exciting. It means I have a month to like actually do whatever post-jam stuff I want to do for bare necessities, or I'm literally never going to do it. What are we doing? Oh yeah, so we get back here to the tile mosaic. The tile mosaic gets the draw parameters, and then it essentially splices out all of the individual, because we're basically sending all of the canvas item draw param lists. And it is kind of like the tile map layer one, where we'll send empty canvas item lists just to let the canvas item, because what we're doing here is actually we're replacing a value on the individual layers. So like this, the tile mosaic has like a bunch of layers to it. And the layers essentially get this draw params value set, which also triggers a redraw. Whenever we draw from these params. So when draw comes, if the param size is 0, we know like we're not drawing anything anymore, which should hopefully clear the canvas. I feel like that's how that works. After that, we will go through all of our bits. We decode our part of it. We do our little texture lookup. So yeah, this doesn't cause an error per se, but it also isn't doing anything right now, which makes me think I don't understand how canvas item space works. Or any of number of other things could be happening as well, but I'll tell you what's not happening is I can't see anything. I've confirmed that there is something in the... There is something in the parameters. You know what we could do is we could keep an eye on tile Z layer 0, I guess, maybe. Well, I don't know how I would keep an eye on them. Well, we can see what kind of draw params they're getting passed. Size 0, not great. Oh, it's being drawn onto tile Z layer 1. Interesting. So tile layer 1, I guess that's fine. Tile layer 1 is getting these. But I still don't see anything, which is the neat part here. So, it's debug day. You have to distract me and ask if I've watched The Residence. No, but it sounds familiar. My partner might have watched that. I don't know, actually. Cordelia Cup, an eccentric detective, arrives at the White House in order to solve a murder which happened during a state dinner. Oh, that sounds fun. Got Kylie Minogue. What? Must be for the state dinner. No, that seems cool. Murder mystery show is pretty good. Oh, nice. I do like a good murder mystery show. That's like... It's at least like half of what my partner and I watch, or like murder mystery stuff. We prefer like, you know, your Marples and your Poirots and stuff, but we'll watch kind of whatever. We watched Fackham Hall recently, which was funny. That was like very much a parody. Oh, we've still got our ridiculous intro music turned on. All right, so where do we think this is falling apart? It seems like we're getting data. So the real question is, and we've got this draw texture rect region call. I guess, you know, we could just print out what's going on here just to see what's getting passed through here. Yeah, this music is ridiculous. There we go. It's gonna be a bit of a shorter stream today. I have a meeting right at 2. But we still got, you know, over 2 hours. I wanted to just call this modulate, but you know what? This is a node TD and it already has a modulate. Why did you... Okay, so let's look at what we got here. Texture, so we got a texture, we got a position. That looks crazy, whatever's happening there. S is probably for... I actually don't know. Oh, these are the rec too. So this has a position of like the max value for a short for some reason. And this has a position of 0, 0. Okay, well, if it's rendering it to position 65,520 by 65,532, that would explain why we don't see it. So let's try to understand that. You know what? It's probably trying to go negative and failing to store that. It's 3 for you, so I'm late to your meeting. Look, like as long as I'm not late to my meeting, we're okay. Although sometimes I feel like the best thing for me would be to just not be at some of my meetings. But we do what we gotta do. All right, so a couple interesting things happened here. One, we're rendering to a crazy position. And 2, we stop rendering at a certain point. So let's look at that. Let's see what's going on there, huh? So rect. Decode. This data is packed in very tightly, just in byte form, so we're having to decode it back. The U16 is probably the problem here. TileMap layer is able to... Well, I'm able to encode signed int 16s, so let's see if I can decode them as well. Maybe it's just a matter of decode S16. I don't know. I kind of want to look at packed byte array for a second anyway. I've been enjoying that Fallout show. I'm still like multiple episodes behind, and I don't know if I'm going to catch up this week, but it's been some good stuff. Still really enjoying my Star Trek TNG rewatch of the whole show in linear order with my restored the restored film version. That looks so good. All right, so decode S16. Yeah, I'm just a fool and I decoded a negative number. Oopsies. All right, which numbers can be negative? So size can't be negative, so these can remain U16s. These need to be S16s. Source rect, same deal. S16. S16. Texture ID can't be negative. Modulate can't be negative. Size shouldn't be negative. Yeah, let's try that. Hey! You know what they say, though, is that the first triangle is the toughest one. We are rendering something. It's not responsive, and we're missing one. And we're just rendering the, like, default missing texture. But that's fine. That's the texture. All right. The Z layering seems also wrong. Or like maybe it's the draw order. Maybe not. Maybe the draw order is actually fine. It's this offset. The X face should be here. Yeah, so this is me not... I think I'm getting my space mixed up. My canvas space. Pixels are born. I know. It's exciting. Jacob, the Fallout comes out on Tuesdays. Suddenly you think now? I think it's Wednesdays, but you might be right. I'm a few episodes behind, which means I'm guaranteed to like read a headline and some on like my news feed and have it spoiled for me. But I'm taking my time. I'm enjoying it. I really like Kyle MacLachlan. I like Walton Walton Goggins. What a name. What a Fallout name. Yeah, I like Kyle MacLachlan. I like the main character too. She's fun. Ella Purnell, I think. And I just met the Robert House character, and that character is crazy. So I got the spacing wrong, and let me think about how this spacing works. So there's an origin here-ish. Walton's goggles. Yeah, exactly. There you go. It is a starship. It was Wednesday, then they suddenly switched to Tuesday. Those monsters. It's a solid show. You haven't played any Fallouts. Your wife has, and you both like it. Nice. I want to play the first Fallout. I think I played 3. You know, when I was like playing, you know, Elder Scrolls games. I think when Fallout they bought, you know, they got it and they made Fallout 3, and I played that. I don't think I ever played Fallout 4. I should have played Vegas. New Vegas. Yeah, I'm kind of tempted, especially because I'm making like a isometric game. I'm really tempted to go play the original Fallout. It looks janky. So this first block here. So it's should be lined up here. So the Y face should be like negative 16 by plus 6, minus 16 plus 6. Because I think our origins are all going to be top left coordinate. And so this one is going to be 0, 1. It's like 8, 7 or 8 or something like that. I'm gonna say 8. I'm gonna say up 8. Oh no, it's minus. So it's not up, it's minus. All right, let's get those. Let's get this out. Get our JSON out here. Origin. I don't know what origin means. Region, yeah. Offset, minus 16, minus 4. I think it's actually minus 16, minus 6. Actually, no. X-face. X-face should be 0, minus 8. Get some inspiration. Yeah, exactly. Isometric games are few and far between. Okay, so the origin is the origin on the tile, the texture, which is why this is 0, 72. And this one should be 0, 0. Okay, and then the offset is like its position in space. I should probably... I guess it's its offset from the tile that it's... We need to know more information. That's fine. This is 0, minus 3. I don't think so. I think it's negative 16 minus 6. That's what I think it is. And then the Z face tile offset is negative 16. I don't like that one of these I think is negative 6 and the other one I think is negative 8. That like can't be, they can't both be true, you know what I'm saying? I guess we'll figure out which one. This is gonna look janky. Don't judge me. We're almost there. I feel like we're so close to being able to render these blocks with canvas items. Hey, Nix, thanks for the hydrate. All right, 0 minus 8. Okay. Am I not using this? How are you doing, Nix? Thanks for the hydrate. Let me finish off my coffee here in honor of the hydrate. All right, I changed the radio and we're still listening to like stringed instruments. It's fine, I guess. Having a chill time. You know an isometric strategy game? Is it you though? I hope so. The isometric strategy game I'm trying a little bit lately is yeah, it is good. I'll tell you one thing, Dave's not here. I'll tell you that for nothing. That is an obscure Cheech and Chong callback. But the game I've been playing that's like an isometric strategy game that's actually really hard is Terra Nil. It's really cool. I keep trying to beat just the first level. It's this game where you like start out in this like messed up like wasteland and you have to like rebuild the environment. Super cool. I haven't even done any of this advanced stuff. I've been just like on the first initial level. But to like 100% it is so hard. It is so easy to get soft lock yourself and make it so there's no way you can fully complete it. But it's really neat. I get kind of an Islanders vibe as far as like you're planting stuff down and you need to like make sure that you can keep comboing or you run out of resources. But like it's really cool because you build all this infrastructure to rebuild the environment and then you have to deconstruct it all again. So like the goal is that you leave and all of your buildings are gone. So you have to like build this thing up and then deconstruct it while making sure that the different biomes are like self-sustaining. It's really cool. Super slick game. Super hard for some reason. I guess I am playing on like the experienced difficulty because I was like, yeah, I'm experienced at strategy games. But it's interesting. It's been really interesting. I've enjoyed it. It's cool. It's cool to see someone do a strategy game, a hardcore strategy game that's not about, you know, exploiting and exterminating, and cool to see. All right, so what do I think? What I think is we're setting this canvas rect X and Y incorrectly. So I guess we go up and figure out where we set those. It's kind of around here, I guess. Canvas rect, source rect. What is going on here? Okay, so no, here's your coordinate. All key.x, sure. Okay, so this is where we do the offsetting for the isometric camera. That seems right. Is X and Y doing the same calculation? Because that would totally mess us up. So we just add the offset. Okay. They look identical, which is good, I guess. Yeah, the twist at the end where you're like, you have to like deconstruct your base and like bring it back out with you is a really neat, that's a really neat twist. All right, I mean, we're getting an offset. We're just, result we're seeing is weird. What if I add to you? I just want to see different behavior is what I want to see. Because I made a change and I saw no difference in behavior. Yeah, again, I made another change and I see no difference in behavior, and that's concerning. Am I passing in the wrong component? It's very possible that I'm doing that. There's X, there's Y, there's Z. Here we're getting X, Y, and Z, X, Y, and Z. Blackface.x. Format comp X, Y, okay, so it doesn't look like that's what's happening. What it looks like is that it doesn't matter what offset I tell it. It just ignores me, is what it looks like. I see it right here. We're doing the thing. He says, having very little idea what's going on. I mean, I understand why it's not moving, maybe. Actually, I don't understand that either. So whatever it is, it shouldn't be that far minus. It should be a little different than that. This doesn't seem to be doing anything, which is concerning. Here, well, there's one more area I could check the actual format thing here. Okay. Oh, here it is. We're applying the X face stuff in the Y component. That would mess things up. And are we also doing it in the Z? Yeah, we are. Okay, here we go. Rock and roll. I actually love finding bugs, finding the source of bugs. Not knowing where the bug is or what it is. That's the real madness. Okay, we're getting closer. We're getting a bit closer. What I need to do is I need to like figure out where exactly the center of the screen is. That's what I should do. So I can confirm that we're actually doing this the right way. All right, so I think you should be 0. The Z offset thing I think should be 16 minus 6. So you guys need to agree. You can do kind of whatever you want, but you need to agree. Let me see what's going on here. So I guess the real question is, what do we even consider to be the origin of this? I wonder if there's a way to get the board tile map thing to show. Can I do this while we're in play mode? Is that like an option? I want to like get this widget to show. Probably is a way to do it. Maybe not. Oh, maybe. Oh, not what I need to do. It doesn't look like it. That's fine. We'll figure it out. Oh, right. This is offset. Where's everything else being stored then? Oh, you're all children of this. That's not great. The board has an offset because for some reason the initial tile that's under the origin for a tile map layer, for some reason it's -1, 0. And I don't totally understand why. I'm sure there's a smart reason. Doesn't seem to be a way to really do anything about that. This is just for like figuring out where our inputs are. But I think it's having an effect on where we're rendering things too. Because the tile mosaic is a child of this, which makes me wonder if I want to offset it. Because we render in the canvas layers, the canvas items, excuse me, the canvas items local space, I think. So I think I do want to offset this. All right. Not 32 though, 16, 4, like that. Put it in the same position as the camera. I think that'll be better. I think that'll be more centered. We still are not doing anything else correctly, so let's work on that. So I was looking at it here because I think this is the origin, which on this one would be here. I think this is 0. Like this is considered the 0 tile. I don't know. It's a little confusing how that works. So minus 16 is I think correct for this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Maybe it's minus 7. All right, let's split the difference. Let's try minus 7. Why not? Kind of offends me, but this one, yeah, I guess this would also be the same. Offends me that it's not minus 8, but you know, maybe it is, and we just haven't figured it out yet. Hey, we're almost there. Why are you in the wrong spot? So 7. So that's, I think, minus 12. Let's try that. Oh, you know what I could do? I could just assign something to this tile map layer, and I could actually figure out where we are rendering relative to it. I will do that in a second here. All right, we should have a block, almost. I think we're gonna do minus 8 for the others then. Minus 16, minus 8. Minus 8. Hey, all right, we got a block. Okay. It'd be nice if it followed the mouse. Block. I like our little source engine missing texture. Yeah. So let's verify that we're on the grid.
The logic was impeccable, Captain.
You could peck the logic. The logic was quite peckable. All hail block. Just in time to see block. It's great. It's funny. Yeah. The rest of this should be easy, right? All right. So what we're gonna do? We're gonna take this guy. We are going to give it a tile set. We'll give it like the overlay tile set or something. Use the Z. Invalid no, I don't want. Okay, whatever. How is this invalid? Okay. Okay. Let's try the other one. Use this one. Nope, absolutely not. We'll use this. Yeah. So we'll do this, and we'll see where our block is getting rendered relative to the grid. We'll be working on the auto tiler again in no time. The auto tiler, thankfully, that should be stable. This is why you do things modularly. The rest of the system doesn't give a shit whether we're rendering to tile map layers or canvas items. Hey, we're in the right spot. All right, that makes me feel better. So we're rendering at the origin correctly, somehow. Ideally, this would follow the camera around. Emphasis on should. We don't need to put the emphasis on should. Okay, so this is good. Things are good. I kind of seem to understand where the local canvas face is and how it works. That's good. That was not a certain thing for me. All right, we'll erase this. Nice to know I can just do this if I ever have a question, and we'll just get rid of this. Progress. That's all we can ask for, Nanigans. All we can ask for. Your stuff's looking good. I saw your post this morning. In the Discord. All right. I like this little medieval stuff we're listening to. All right. Okay, so next up, let's get this thing moving around. So why is it ignorant of the cursor? Probably because I don't reference the cursor anywhere. Probably would be my guess. Yeah. We have no reference to the cursor mapping system. How do we do that here? Oh no, my mouse is dying. Nanigans, you were just about to get into making your tile texture maps more complicated so that you can support texture variants and be able to have the grid lines on a different spot in the texture. Oh, interesting. And then you realized your UVs don't quite seem to be correct. At least the top face is wrong for any of the non-solid blocks. Oh no. Oh no. All right, so what we're doing here, somewhere, we ask about the cursor, right? Oh, no, we don't. We don't give a shit about the cursor at this point. You shouldn't either. But someone is not telling you the position, or you're ignoring the position of the blocks. Hulky.x times 16 minus hulky.y times 16 plus formatcomp.offset.x. We should be getting the 2D coordinates from here. The fact that we're not is concerning. Okay, to be fair, it doesn't seem like it's continuing to render for some reason. Like, it's not updating the position after the initial calls. Maybe it's only ever getting, it looks, yeah, see 0, -8, -16, 8. It's never getting a position besides the origin. So it's like not running for some reason. Hey, Arneo, what's up? The shenanigans. Current tile textures are just 64 by 128. And you use the top half for the top face and the bottom half for side faces. So you need to complicate it more by allowing custom offsets. I mean, do you need to complicate it more? Passing a range of texture chunks to use as a random assortment textures that can be used. Oh, that's neat. All right, so why does this cease to run? Where are we doing the printing from, I guess would be my question. So we're doing it here. We're doing it at the draw call. So whenever we set the draw params, we queue the redraw. I can specify the step, huh? Doing all of this divide and multiply by 32, but S, step. Yeah, let's do that. And we can avoid these divided by and multiply by 32s. So let's say this, and then we'll just say 32. Now I can get rid of those here. Well, sanity check to make sure that didn't break everything. Okay, no. But it's only calling it a few times, and then it's just giving up, it seems. It's also not giving me all my debug lines, unless these are the other couple lines. So it's only rendering things a couple of times, and then it just kind of gives up the ghost here. Just doesn't do anything. Why would that be? I guess we can see if we're even running that function. Just see how many times it's actually triggering the relay. Okay, so it's triggering the relay constantly. Oh, it's rendering every once in a while. Oh, now it's not anymore. Okay. Wonder what's happening here. This does a couple of renders. Does a relay, a couple of renders, a relay, a couple of renders, and then it just kind of stops. No more. So it only seems to do it in... Oh, it does one earlier. Interesting. It does a few, so it's very sporadic. It's sporadically updating. I wonder if it's only doing it if I'm at the origin. That'd be neat.
And I don't want to hear another word about our personal problems until I get this down.
Okay, yeah, it's totally ignoring me. Except if I'm in the 0, 0 tile. It does nothing else anywhere else. Okay, that's an interesting input problem. Is there an early out somewhere, or what's happening? Arneo, you're aiming for a summer release with your game. You're currently banging your head against the main menu design, which you found extremely boring. Yeah, I don't like the UI stuff. Should be pretty simple and straightforward, though. The biggest thing left is an NPC AI overhaul, which might take a while. That probably will take a while. You have the challenge where you want them to be fun. You don't want them to be, like, perfect. If they're, like, perfect, like, Terminator, like ship, like, flyers, then, like, they'll always hit you with their missiles. They'll always dodge yours, like... Luckily, it's pretty easy to make a dumb AI that's dumb in a way that's fun. Okay, so we know that we're relaying this information. Is there just no information? Like, are these param lists? Are these draw lists just empty unless I'm over the origin? I feel like that can't really be true. Maybe that's exactly what's going on. Weird. All right. That's a fun mystery. Oh, you know what? You know what's going on, probably? Here we go. I don't know if this is it, but we do have other Z-index levels. Interesting. Freaked out a bunch at first. Didn't actually do anything. So yeah, the data just isn't getting down to the layer to be drawn. Arneo, your current version is generating a few attack behavior patterns and then switching to random ones at random intervals. Yeah. Yeah, the way Subset Games has talked about their FTL AI is it actually needs to be kind of dumb. It can't play optimally. If it plays optimally, the player just dies. So it ends up like targeting random systems and rooms and stuff. Hey, Sapphire. Gifting the tier 1 sub to Arneo. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Thanks for blasting. Hitting Arneo with the phaser blast of subscribership. Yeah, darn. Subscribed again. All right, so So we're getting data to the initial layers. If we're on tile 0, 0, if we're on any of the other tiles, we should be sending that to the higher up levels. We don't seem to be doing that. And it's thanks to our stupid diagram here, where we can see that as we advance forward on the tile map thing, we should be getting things rendered to further and further forward Z layers. Right now, we're just operating at like the very back. Very strange. I know you want your Bernard Bows emote, Arneo. All right, so here's another one. We have this process that works. Somewhere along it, we're ignoring any coordinate that is not at 0, 0. Which is curious. Or we're not sending, maybe, you know what is maybe happening? There's something maybe happening with the Z index, maybe. You know what? This should be +1 because we actually have a background and a foreground layer that I've already added just in case. So the Z index for these is actually whole key.x plus whole key.y plus whole key.z plus 1. That way we have a backdrop behind us in case we want to render stuff back there like a planet or stars or something. And then we also have a foreground layer. And I'm going to say that we only need one foreground layer and one background layer. And within those, we can just Y sort. I'm saying that. I don't know if that's going to remain true indefinitely, but you know, that's what I'm saying. It's what I said. Let's see if that breaks everything. I think it might, actually. Okay, no. Stuff rendered somehow. Interesting. All right, we're heading into ads. Hold on to your ads, everybody. Shenanigans. It sounds like Arneo is in the last 10% that will take 90% of the time. That is what it sounds like. That is what it sounds like. All right, I'm pretty much out of coffee. I'm going to go grab some water real quick while we're in the ad break. Thank you all for hanging out today. Appreciate you. Be back. Sapphire. Arneo did say summer, not which summer. That's a good point. That's a good point. That's a good point. All right. So we're still rendering even when we render at Z index 1. We're not still rendering to everything to layer 0 though, are we? I'm a little suspicious of what's going on here with these hull keys. We're gonna scrutinize them. That's what we're gonna do. Oh, well, this is all wrong. Plus X. Let's see. I messed up my transcribing these quite a lot. I want to just write out the full hull key value. Actually, I want to do the whole value, so I don't want to do it here. Do it up here. Okay, so we're getting the hull key. That's good. We're getting the hull key as long as it's positive, which is fine. Okay. Okay. So it's good here. Watch the parameter thing that we get out of this be just totally busted by comparison. Where is a good... You know who maybe doesn't know anything about this is this function, which would be a good place to check. Here. So what I want to do is I want to write out... I mean, I guess I understand what this value is, but I want to know. I'm going to say draws ii.canvasRect.xy. I don't know what's going on here. Interesting. Okay, we seem to be getting the right coordinates. This song is weird. Oh, that was the end of it? Okay. This song is also weird. Here we go. Okay, so we're getting the right values. What is happening to these values? So what's happening to the draw calls that have these values? Oh, I'm so dumb. They're being rendered on top of each other because it's in the CanvasItem's local space. So I need to do a couple of things. I could move the CanvasItems around to simulate the distance between the Z levels, or I could add that value to the calculation.
Your logic was impeccable, Captain.
Well, we got there eventually. That's stupid. That's like a very known issue to deal with when you're doing something like this with multiple Z levels that's isometric. All right, so where are we going to account for that? Look at all these beautiful auto tiling rules that we definitely don't have to update that are definitely going to just work. All right, so here we set the X purely on the X and Y coordinate. Here we set the Y coordinate based on the X, the Y, and the Z. No, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, the thing I described is probably a problem that we will have unless I just plugged in the correct value here with hulky.z times -8, which I think I did. So I think we are accounting for the offset. That doesn't explain our problem. Doesn't explain it at all. All right, back to Godot. I think there's a problem happening somewhere in here. You know what I want to print? I want to print the Z index that's drawing this. Z index. I want to see which CanvasItem is doing all of this drawing. Okay, none of them. The answer is none of them. Why is that? CanvasItem Z-index 2 did the first few for some reason. And now we're not getting any. Q redraw should be doing what I think it does. Here's a sanity check. Are we actually doing this Q redraw thing? I don't. Okay, yeah, we are. We're Q redrawing all the time. It looks like we're only doing one of them at a time, though. Q. Let's say prints. Z index. I think I have some idea what's happening. Q0. Yep, all we're ever doing is queuing up 0. Oh, I kind of understand. I think I understand what's happening. It's kind of weird that it's continuing to draw. Is maybe the weird thing here, but let's deal with that one problem at a time, huh? So, one problem at a time. We just got to get through this 10 seconds at a time. Hope everyone's having a good afternoon here, or whatever time it is for you. Definitely take your time here. It is a marathon, not a sprint. I have to tell myself that every day. Every evening, like maybe even last evening when I stay up too late at a co-working event, even though I know I have to wake up early for work. There just aren't enough hours in the day, you know? All right, so layer size is greater than 0. We do this. Layer begins, 0. Layer ends, code 2. Layer size is layer ends minus layer begins. If layer size is greater than 0, we do the thing. If it is 0, we send an empty parameter list. We could set null, but I don't care. And then here's where I think our problem is. We're saying for the next index is an int in the range of 1 to layer count. Where the hell do we get layer count? Okay, it's this. Layer count is tile layers.size. Okay, so it seems like we are iterating through here. You know, is this not... Here's an interesting question. When it gets this empty byte array, what does it think of that? What does it think of that? I feel like this is maybe a problem. Actually, they're all a problem. So if layer count, why am I reassigning layer count? Oh, I'm so dumb. This isn't layer count. This is supposed to be layer size. Layer count is always greater than 0. Was I just breaking things? I don't understand. I don't understand what's happening there, but this is more correct. Let's see what that did. Hey, that was it. Hey, I can change the Z layer. The Z layer offsetting is fine. Huzzah. Can I draw stuff? Oh, okay. Auto tiling not totally working. All right. Well, new problems. New problems. Let's just erase that. This one is the block red. It's not red. I'll show you. Let me show you on a bigger screen here, Ernio. This is our source engine inspired missing texture block. It's like magenta and it's like checkerboarded. So it's supposed to be like a missing texture block from like the source engine, from like the Hammer editor. This is our fallback. I feel like there are brief moments when I'm moving this around that I can see like in between the faces, but this probably can't be true. It's probably just an illusion, a visual illusion. Okay. We do need to add support for negative tile map. Now that the board is just like a thing to tell us where we are, we need to be able to support negative coordinates. All right, what's happening here when we try to do this though? Like what? There's a region thing happening that's very strange. You know, we're probably not changing the... You're probably not handling the region correctly. We need to look at the atlas chords. This atlas chords thing. Yeah, it can't be format comp.origin.x plus atlas chords.x and y. It needs to be atlas chords.x and y, and it needs to be multiplied by the size. It needs to be multiplied by the region. Format comp.region.x. Magenta is kind of red. By definition, yeah. Yeah, it is. It's definitely sharing some red. Kind of red, kind of blue. Exactly, Davros. How's it going? But not kind of green. That's the only thing it's not, right? It's kind of green. It's kind of green insofar as it's kind of blue. Magenta's a weird color. It's a weird one. There's a weird thing that our brain does. It has to do with green and our eyes and light. And what our brain does to combine red and blue. I don't know enough about neurobiology to say anymore, but I remember it being kind of neat how the brain handles magenta. Doesn't magenta not really exist? Yeah, I don't want to say it like that because I'm sure it's more nuanced than that. Yeah. There's something interesting. It has to do with the opposition of green being magenta, but magenta being like this combination of things. It has to do with the light spectrum and some weird stuff. I think it's because green is like in the middle of like the visible light spectrum. I don't know. I'm gonna stop talking because I'm gonna say something dumb and wrong because I'm just gonna guess. We could just look this up on Wikipedia and be informed. Magenta exists only in debugging, not in nature. Yes, it's exactly anti-green. Yeah, it has something about being the anti-green and it being kind of like having a weird existence as a combination of things. It's part of why it stands out so much. Yeah, that probably makes a lot of sense why it's been selected as like a debug draw color, a favorite debug draw. What was I doing? Oh yeah, I was adding the region to these things. We're getting close though. Getting close. I said we were going to be working on this all week. I might have been wrong about that. In the YouTube description. I might have been right though. We'll see. I'm sure we'll continue to notice weird things that need to be fixed with this. Arneo, don't eyes have like a sensitivity to green based on the amount of green receptors in the optical surface or something like that? I am not sure. I'm not sure about any of that. What I've heard is that we actually, the most receptors we have, I'm not gonna, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I thought the ones we have the biggest problem with, so we have the most receptors for, is blue, is my understanding. But again, I haven't read a neurobiology, ocular thing. I haven't read any of this stuff in so long. Hey, all right. Look at the auto-tiling. It's a beautiful thing. Oh, and we crashed. Did we exceed the value? Value is either too large or too small. What value is this? Starting index is I times unsafe.size of byte. What value is this going to be? I is 54. Starting index 54. What was it? Oh, Jesus. Why is this such a large number? That's deeply wrong, whatever's happening here. Layer starts 17,472. That's not right. I have to confirm something here real quick. Are we butting up against the size limit for a short? That would be unfortunate. Hey, Atagon. Thanks for the hydrate. How's it going? Nanigans, you only caught bits and pieces of the magenta conversation. It was used because it is a standard color that is representable with only a couple bits and is rarely ever used. Yeah, it makes sense. Were you on track of what we were talking about? I think so. Close enough. All right, so one of our layers is 64 by 64, right? So that's 4,096. Each draw call has 16 parameters. So 4,096 times 16. Ooh. Huh. Okay, so we need to represent this number. We are actually potentially running up against the limit of what you can record in a short. I think it was wrong, but I mean, obviously the debugger is not wrong. We ran over. I think it's weird that we ran over. So what we need to do here is we need to actually not do this multiplication stuff. Because yeah, if we use every tile in a layer, we run up against that 65,000 whatever limit. So we're gonna remove this. That means we need to do this later. So this here we can say layer start times 16. Maybe we don't make this a magic number. We were just talking about Down to Jam at the beginning of the stream, Adagon. It's only like a month away, yeah? A month away as of this upcoming weekend here. I'm excited. Terrified and excited. You can finish up the site update for it? You better. You better hurry. You've been drawing slimes. Get it together. You could draw slimes anytime. All right, so we are taking... So the layer start is going to be the start in terms of draw calls and also the number of layers. Oh, well, this is a little awkward then, isn't it? That's actually going to be tough for us to deal with. Unless we divide the layer count. So what if we divided the layer count here by 16? Look how cute they are. All right. All right. These are pretty good. I'm enjoying these. I like these little the little warthogs. A swine slime. A chive slime. I like this little salt zombie slime. Because, yeah, if it's anything like slugs or snails or whatever, salt is, like, not good. I feel that should be like a D&D thing. Like, if you run into a slime, you should be able to fight it with salt if you have enough salt. I'm subclassing chef. These are cute. I like these. All right, so we can't record all of the... So what we're going to want to do is we would want to multiply these layer starts numbers by this param count. Problem is we're also storing the header, and if as long as the header is cleanly divisible by 16, which we know it is because it's size.x times size.y times size.z, and that is, well, it's not times, it's plus, which is just 64 times 3. I can save you the math. So 192 is cleanly divisible by 16. So we're going to do that. And then we're going around here. Here we're also multiplying by the size of short. We could just not do that either. Divide by 32. So if we do this here and we don't pre-multiply this, that's good. Hey, Corolla, how's it going? These piggies better be pets and not enemies. Yeah, they're pets. You can catch them. You can catch them in an Adagon stream and other streams. Nanigans, College of Culinary Bard. Yeah, exactly. Ability Vicious Assault. That's insane. Well done. How's it going? How's it going, Corolla? And everyone. I see you all. I see you all over on the YouTube. I hope you're having a chill time. Appreciate you hanging out with us here for our little chill daily co-working. We do this Tuesday through Saturday around this time. We'll be cruising along through here for at least another hour. I'll stop breaking the fourth wall now. All right, so we've removed all of the... So as long as we encode the simplest version of this index, then we'll never run into the size limit of a short. I'm a little concerned about that happening with the CanvasRect.x, but I don't think it's possible. I bet it's possible, but I don't think it's going to happen. Oh, you know what? That's going to be a really annoying thing, actually. That's totally something that could happen. We'll have to decide if that's going to be a problem. But yeah, it would be totally possible to exceed that when talking about the local canvas item, unless I constrain it in some way, which I want to do. I want to do it. All right, so if we do this and we're recording it, basically everything is divided by 32. Then when we go over here, we're going to need to multiply that back up. So we don't want to do this II times 16 thing, do we? Yeah, we do. We want to do it here because we're indexing. But we're recording these as int 16s. So that's right. Sapphire, sorry if you're kind of lurking now. You got me on the second monitor. You try out some Baldur's Gate. Nice, nice. I got to give Baldur's Gate another try. Problem is I play those games as like a good guy trying to like do the best thing, and I get so torn up when the best thing always just goes sideways. I need to like reach into my chaotic neutral like inner self and just try it again as just like a mild sociopath. Hey Arneo, I see you over on YouTube. Corolla, it's going good. You made soup for lunch today? Nice. You scuttled a whole bunch of tickets, at least until pre-production is over. You're trying to do something where you save parts of the scene as JSON. It was taking forever. I can see that. You want to sprint towards an MVP? It was for a map editor, theoretically, but you don't need a map editor. Hey, now. Everyone needs a map editor. No, but that sounds good. Your game seems really tight. Like, it seems like you have the moment-to-moment gameplay really tight. And yeah, I would just keep pushing that. It looks like you have real good momentum with that, so it makes sense that you don't want to slow down and mess around with tools. I think you're on the right track. Hey, Lacutus. Lacutus of Twitch. If you do another Baldur's Gate run, you got to roll without any rerolls as well, and maybe with guidance nerfed. It was way too easy to always get the good rolls. I want the good rolls. Engineering things so you get the good rolls is like, that's D&D. If you're not like min-maxing, are you even doing it? Hey, good night, Mr. Magoo. Take it easy. All right, so when we're down over here, now we need to do some multiplication. So we should decode this number and then multiply it by 32. Same thing here. then this one of next index times 2. That doesn't seem right. I think it's 32. Oh, this should be... No, 0, 2. No. Okay, I'm wrong. Maybe. Layer count. No, I think it's times 32. We'll find out. You want to suffer? Well, you're playing the right game. Index was outside the bounds of the array. Okay. Here. I-144. How is I-144 outside of the bounds of either of these? Oh, you are 144. That's awkward. How'd that happen? Param shorts. Oh, it's your fault. Layer count is this, 192. Layer start, 9. Doing this wrongly here somewhere. So the draw calls count is 3. Which is why we get from 6 to 9. But the 9 needs to be multiplied by 16 and then multiplied by 2. All right, what do we got? I'm messing up my conversion here in my attempt to make sure we're storing small numbers. I've messed something up. So we get our layer count, which is just the board size, which is 64 and 64 and 64. That gives us our 190 like usable, I say usable, that gives us 192 Z layers. First is the background, the last is the foreground. In the middle are all the layers that we actually use for the constructed object. That's the block space layers. Our layer start is that layer count. We need to divide it all by the same amount, which here we're taking 192 divided by 16 and then divided by 2 because we're dividing it by the number of parameters. Because we want to know how many draws, quote unquote, there are. Like how many sets of draws are there. And we're kind of messing around by pretending that the header are draws insofar as we're like counting them that way because they're divisible by 32, so we might as well. So there's 16 params being stored as bytes. Which is why 192 comes down to 6. And then we have 3 draws because we know we're only drawing one block, the origin block at first. Wherever it is. We know we're drawing the hover block, quote unquote, the block that follows the cursor around. Call it the cursor block, I guess. Probably makes more sense. So we take our starting index. We note that it's going to start here. Oh, you know what? No, that's fine. Okay. We add this. Okay, and then when we go to declare our bytes, we want this amount multiplied by the number of parameters, multiplied by the size of short. It's 9 times 16 times 2, 288. The song playing was 4:04 a.m. and it's 4:04 p.m. for you. It's 4:04 a.m. somewhere. Alright, we cast this to a short. I is 0, I is less than starting indices dot length. Param shorts I equals convert 2 and 16, starting indices I. Now that's interesting. Yeah, we want to do this without the resize. Or do we? No, we do. No, we don't. All right. Let me look at the stack trace a little more. Because all of this first part here makes sense to me. The problem is down here. So for I, so starting indexes is 192. But the param shorts is only 144. Yeah, that's very wrong. Actually, no, that is right. That could be right. That could be right, huh? So we could be sending a bunch of empty stuff over. So then the question is... Well, there needs to be at least room for all the headers in here. For one thing. So we need all of this. We need this 192. 6. Yeah, so 144 is too short. You know what's maybe this? Maybe I wasn't supposed to divide by this yet. So we get our layer count, starting indexes, layer starts. No, I think that's right. I think doing it like this is right. Thing is, we're allocating too small a thing here. So we're saying 9 times, we're saying 192 divided by 16 divided by 2 plus 3, 1 for each draw. Multiplying that 9 by 16 and then again by 2. So yeah, it starts at 144. So this needs to be bigger than 144. That's just where it starts. What is its total length? That's what we want to know. So 3 times 16 times 2 is 96. It's 144. 240. That's right. So why aren't we allocating this thing to be 480? So before we multiplied this, so we just took this straight and we multiplied this by 16. Oh, it's because these... We just have the whole thing, though. Layer start times this times this. I'm sure. It's all here. All the info I need to figure this out is here, but I'm struggling a little bit. So here, when we do the param shorts I, we would convert the starting index, we would multiply it by the bytes. But that's because we would know exactly what, we would count how many shorts, like how many actual values there were. We're trying not to do that. We divided everything by like 32 so that we like don't end up recording a value bigger than the max size of an int 16. But it just means I need to do the conversions exactly right, and I'm struggling with it for some reason. Even though all the information about how to do it right is right here in these little commit changes. So what we did, so we just need to like do some proper like look at both sides of the equation and see what operations we're doing kind of deal. Which I hate, which I'm not good at. I'm not a mathematician. I'm not good at math at all. I struggle really hard anytime someone asks me to start doing stuff with vectors. All right, so our layer start is our layer count. What we have done is we've divided it by 32. We divided by 16 and then divided again by 2. So we divide it by the number of parameters in one of these CanvasItem draw calls. I should probably call this CanvasItem draw call, but draw params is right, I guess. It's not the call itself. It's the parameters for a call. So we have this parameter count, and then we have this size of short. So I'm just operating on a smaller unit. I'm using a shorthand. So layer start is like, here's how many of these 32 byte little chunks we have before the actual layer data starts. Right now, that's just the header. Then what we do is we go through each of the layers and we add that layer start number for that layer, because that's where that layer starts. And then we increment the layer start with the number of draw calls. Which is fine. Because that's still what we previously did is we would multiply those by 16. So layer start was being described in short terms, quote unquote. They weren't being described as counting from bytes, that we were still counting with a regular int 16 values that we were storing. So that's fine, supposedly. However, this number ends up being 9, which is the 6 for the header, and then 3 more for the 3 draw calls. The problem is the number we get from that doesn't seem to work, because we declare this array based on that number, multiplied again by the 16 and then the 2, multiplied by the parameter count and the size of short. That only gives us a byte array of about 288, which isn't even big enough to hold the header. So somewhere we're losing the thread of this. So we're running out of space before we even finish recording the header for some reason. Let's look inside this starting indexes array and see what we're recording. 0, 6, 6, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9. Okay, so nothing in the 0, 3 things in the 1, which is why we go from 6 to 9. And then everything else is just 9 because they all start on the same layer because they're identical in size. But then for some reason when I go to actually write that out, there isn't enough space here for it. And that's maybe where my understanding of the math is breaking down. And the math is small number arithmetic, just to be clear. 6 times 2 times 32. Or no, 6 times 2, 6 times 16. Oh, hold on a second. You know what? You know what's happening? I kind of understand. I think I kind of understand. We're declaring this byte thing. I'm doing something weird here. So we have 6 times 16 times 2. That's just getting me back to the number of spots. So I'm doing something very wrong here. Param count is 16. I think I kind of see where I'm making this mistake. Hold on to your ads, Twitch. We'll be back in a couple minutes here. Don't worry, you're not going to miss anything. I'm doing the most boring thing in the world. So there's 192 of these. Oh, so no. So see what we don't do here is we don't divide by the size of short. I don't think. And yet, that seems wrong. So if I just do that, 192 divided by 16, we get 12. We add 3 to that. We multiply that back together again by 16, and then by 2, 480. Yeah, that gives us the right number now. Interesting. Yep, okay. I'm dumb. The answer was right here, which is we never multiplied this by the size of the short. We also never did that here. We only multiplied this by 16. So instead of multiplying the count here by 16, we're dividing this count by 16. That's the equivalent exchange. And then down here, we're multiplying this back by 16 and multiplying it by the size of the short still. Will that work? Will that work for me now? It's assuming I got this right everywhere else. Ooh, it did not. Ouch. Something's going wrong. Probably one of the unpacking numbers is going wrong. Only a few errors. It's one error being duplicated many times. I think it's something happening over here. I'm gonna double check just to be sure. We're gonna not call this. See what side the error is on. Yeah, it's definitely on the Godot side. Yeah, so we need to fix the unpacking part of this. So layer begins. So this is the other thing is, like, I feel like I've got these numbers somewhat correct, but I don't think, like, we're defining the size correctly, but I think the number I'm recording here is wrong. Is the thing about it. But you know, that's okay. Put a breakpoint here. I just want to make sure the numbers I'm recording here make sense. All right, what do we got? So 12, 12, 15, 15, 15. Okay, so how are we gonna... So we'll take that 12. We'll multiply it by... 16. Well, let's take that 15, multiply it by 16. Yeah, multiply that by 2. Okay. So we're going to take that 16, and then we divide it by... We take that 12, multiply it by 16, multiply by 2. That's the byte. Multiply by 32. Easy. I thought that's what I was doing here. Yeah, decode U16 times 32, decode U16, 0. We decode this number, we multiply by 32. We decode this number, we multiply by 32. For next index, int in range 1. Int is less than layer count. The layer begins at drop params. Oh. Decode. So this is next index is int in range 1 through layer count. Oh no, we're going through the header. Right, so next int. Yeah, we're iterating through the header. So this multiplied by 32 thing, this is on the outside of the parentheses, not the inside. All right. We shouldn't have the same crazy... You know what I should probably have done is turn the breakpoint off. Okay, we're still upset about something. Means I don't totally understand what I'm doing. Oh, do we also need to do something here? For index and range 0, drop params dot size 32. Texture ID is drop params dot decode. Index plus 6. Okay. Okay, I don't think the problem's here. Hey, Titan Roboduck, how's it going? Alright, where do I think I'm making a mistake here? You know how we're recording? So we're recording these indexes in their short form. Which is why I think I'm supposed to multiply by 16. Then I need to multiply it by 2 because it's a byte. And yet we are having problems. Having problems here. So drop params dot decode next index. So it should be next index. Oh, you know what I should do? Let's just do it like this. 2. Well, let's do it like this. Why not? We're going to say next index times 2. Next index times 2. I think that's right. That should be it here. You're doing okay? You've been doing some Godot plugin work? Oh, nice. What kind of plugin are you working on? Oh my god, it's still wrong. RP texture is null. What? Out of bounds index 15. Ray texture 2D. Oh, are we reading into the texture wrong? Or are we... Did I store this information incorrectly? I wouldn't be surprised if I did. You're out of here, Sapphire. Thanks. See you later. Plugin so that you can make visual novels easier. Ooh, nice. Nice. Someday I'm going to need some kind of dialogue system for my game. But you know what? It's not this day. That sounds good. What do people normally do? Like RenPy or something? Not for dialogue systems, for like visual novels. All right. I still think I'm recording these numbers wrong in my search, in my quest for recording the smallest version of the number possible to avoid the size limit. When I do need it, feel free to use yours. I will consider it. Feel free to share that on the Discord. I'd be interested in checking that out. Or share whatever work you got, you know? I'd like to see what people are working on in Godot. All right, so what we're doing is doing the divisible. Oh, so we need to read the header coordinates maybe differently. No, I feel like this has to be divide by the size of short. If I want to be able to index it consistently with the data later. But if that's true, then what we have to do here with this is we have to multiply it. And then here, that means we want to multiply by unsafe size of short times 2 for some reason, which I don't understand. I don't understand this part. Nanigans, if it was easier to override Godot's in-editor camera, you would probably take a stab at doing your map editor directly as a Godot plugin. It's just too clunky to do all that in-editor, at least from what you played around with already. The in-editor camera? Oh, I see. I see. You would have a hard time doing it within the confines of the Godot editor. Yeah, most people use RenPy. You did not like working in RenPy. Half the time you were just defining the images and you were very limited in what you can make. So you spent 3 years making this plugin by yourself. Oh, that's awesome. Super cool. I know some people that do that kind of stuff. I will definitely point them that way. There's a couple things there that I feel are very common among indie game devs that I just don't have a lot of familiarity with. One is like puzzle games. That's like a classic. Maybe it's just has to do with the community that I'm part of. A lot of puzzle stuff. And I see a lot of like visual novel stuff. Maybe it's because you can do a lot with very little in both those genres in terms of you can do a pretty high production value without having to invest a ton in assets. I don't know. I'd still rather invest a lot more in assets and do something system-based. Because I feel like you don't... They're inherently, visual novels and puzzle games have like a relatively low quote-unquote replay value because it's one of those things that's usually once you've experienced it, especially in the case of puzzle games. So I have totally ruined this in my search to store this efficiently. I've totally ruined everything. You know what? Maybe it's actually okay. So what if, so here we go. Here's the real question, if we can store it like this. So, because we could always index into the header differently than we index into everything else. We can know when we're indexing into the header and treat it a little differently than other values. Or even than the values that the header gives us back. So it's like if the header is recorded in shorts, but the value we need is in like bytes, that's like fine. I'm just trying to minimize that amount of... I'm trying to store the smallest version of the number and then multiply it back out into the number we actually need. But clearly I'm messing up some of the conversion somewhere. You can make that argument about most games that either aren't procedural or multiplayer. It depends. It depends on what you consider procedural. I would maybe use a different terms, like maybe more sandboxy or systems heavy. Because you can have 100% hand-built content, but I guess you could still combine it with procedures and stuff. But yeah, multiplayer is the easiest way to do that for sure. Multiplayer is like the cheat from a design standpoint to get like a ton of replayability. Titan, that makes sense. You like visual novels because it's the easiest way for your dyslexic brain to engage with a story. Oh, that's good. That sounds like a good reason. Yeah, I'm not a huge like fiction reader, so I think I'm predisposed to not being terribly interested in that. But I like the idea of hypertext. stuff like that. So what I'm concerned about is we have 64 by 64. So that's 4,096. So as long as we're recording that in those terms, as long as we don't multiply that, so on a given canvas item, in the worst case scenario, there could be 4,096 little guys, little tiles getting rendered. That's not a realistic case. That's just like the theoretical maximum. The problem is if you multiply that by 16, you hit the maximum recordable value by a short. I mean, technically you exceed it by 1, which is the problem, right? So depending on how we store this, that's actually fine. Well, the problem is that we're not storing it. Oh. There's another problem. We have to kind of contain it by, we have to contain it somehow. Which is, I guess, why I'm recording the starting indexes. We just need to record the starting indexes at a small enough scale that we don't ever run into that limit. Because the problem is, what if we have 4,096? What if we have that 64 times? Then we've far exceeded the maximum recordable amount. So the maximum possible number of quote-unquote tiles we've got is 64 by 64 by 64. Technically, it's more than that because we have our header and our footer, isn't it? And by header and footer, I mean far foreground and far background. Titan, you're also making a survivors-like with computer viruses in the style of Windows 95. Oh, that sounds fun. I would be interested in checking that out too. So we have this like 250,000 number of tiles. We need to be able to... So the maximum size of this index thing that we can store is 65,000 whatever. So we need to divide this number at least by 16. And we get down to 16,000, which is good. But wait, that's not really the thing, because I'm beginning to see the problem here. The theoretical problem with the way we're doing this. I think there's a way around this. The problem is we have potentially a fairly large thing that we're storing here. We honestly might need to break these up. Right now we're sending them all over at once. We might need to send them by Z layer. Like, we might not be able to send this all in one massive packed byte array, because I think we're running into a limitation. Because if we can have 64,000 by 64, or if we can have 64 by 64 by 64, we can technically have more than that. So we'd actually add 4,096 and another 4,096. Oh man, there can also... I'm thinking of this incorrectly. Because it's actually even more than that, because the background tiles are limited, but we're going to be interleaving moving animated characters in here. So it can actually be... You could actually theoretically have more than 4,096 tiles on a layer. You won't, but theoretically that's not actually the limit. The limit is like super arbitrary. Hey, VoidBlit, how's it going? The actual limit is incredibly arbitrary. So yeah, I think then what we need to do to have any chance of pulling this off is to actually not send these over like this. think we have to pack these up and send them over in smaller bites, quote unquote, instead of sending them over all at once. It was nice sending them over all at once. What we'll instead do at the end is up here, after we've like prepared all our things and sorted them and stuff, we could actually put these on like threads or something if we wanted to. Because we add all these draw calls for each Z index. And then what we could do, and then we sort them at the end. But what we could do is we could go through each one and pack them. So we need to pack them based on the Z index. We'll just say index. No, maybe we'll say Z index. You love the song? It's nice. Horror-y. It's a fun word. By abstraction. We'll like it. Very, very haunting use of harmonica in this song. Hey, Marticus. What up? All right, so yeah, we're gonna do this differently. So layer count is not gonna be this big old. We're not gonna worry about this big old layer count thing. I'm not gonna worry about that anymore. We just gotten our little blocks drawing, and now I'm like, time to break everything. Starting indexes is a new int. So we actually don't need a start. There's no starting index to record now. So we actually get to skip out on the headers, which is great. Here's the thing that I'm wondering about. Does it make sense to get rid of the Z index as a thing that we store? What order do we encode this stuff in? So we encode it Z index first. For consistency's sake, let's keep on keeping on here. Your Factorio clone is coming along all right. Nice, nice. I haven't seen any of that. I would love for you to post some of that in the Discord. Maybe I have seen a little of it. I don't remember. My memory is really bad, so please nobody be offended if I forget anything about any interaction I've had with you. I have a notoriously poor memory, except for when it comes to popular media. For some reason, I could tell you like quotes from a film I had seen like 15 years ago, but I can't tell you what we spoke about over breakfast last week. You haven't shown anything yet? All right, well, when you're ready. When you're ready. Rhiannon Journey, are you ever going to compare blocks against blocks from a different Z-index? I don't think we need to. The way Z-indexes and Y sorting typically works is You only need to Y sort within a Z index. We aren't doing any Y sorting right now, but that's because there's nothing moving around within a tile. We will be soon. There's some movies I can nearly recite, like, line by line. Emphasis on nearly. So we don't actually need to record this. We don't need any headers or anything anymore if we do it this way. We don't need to know about when the layer starts because the layer doesn't start anymore. All we really care about is the draw calls. So we'd actually here we'd just say draw calls.count. Draw calls Z index. What we should do is say if draw calls here we can record the count variable draw count equals draw calls Z index dot count. And we can just say if draw count is 0, we'll just return. Actually, no, we don't want to return. We want to... We'll still want to send like an empty... We're going to need something to prevent this from happening every time, but we need to send... We need to find some way of sending like... We could say null. I'm kind of tempted to say like empty or something like that. Here, maybe we'll rename this like relay. We're going to send param bytes, and we're also going to send the Z index. And then here we'll just say, oops. You put an image of the survivors like in the work channel. Ooh. Void Blit, you forget everything until you drill it, unless you drill it in your head. Or it's embarrassing. Oh, if it's embarrassing. Yeah, there's a shortcut in the brain to record embarrassing memories for sure. You have only one type of enemy now. I'm excited to check it out. All right, so what we're going to do is instead we're going to say game, say empty canvas item draw params. Luckily, empty can also be a verb. We need to send the Z index. We probably need to make a function for this. We're not going to send anything except the Z index. Same thing we always do here. We're going to say if not this, we'll say empty. So this is draws and int Z index. Should we just say index? It's a layer. Right, that way we can simply empty them if we need to. All right, keep an eye on the time. I got a hard stop here in a few minutes. All right, all right. So we got stuff drawing on the screen. Then we immediately realized we were going to run into a fundamental limitation. So we broke everything, and now we're going to do this again, but without recording any kind of header. We're going to pre-splice. We're only going to send over the layers we need to. What happened here? I thought I already did this part. Yeah, we can forget about all of this. So draw count 0, we can just send over an empty. We can send a command to empty the parameters. Like there's no draws, so we need to get rid of all the parameters and then queue a redraw so that we clear the draw. Otherwise, we'll go through this process. There is no starting indexes I, so we're not going to do this draw calls.length thing either. Can leave this as the index, I guess. The index. Rename this to just I. Get rid of this. All right, yeah. I'm gonna fix this, and then we're gonna probably call it here. See, I got a meeting starting in 4 minutes. Playing it fast and loose here. But this will be better. This will be a lot easier. This should be more optimizable because we could then avoid calling unnecessarily the queue redraw. We will attempt to do so. We've simplified our problem, which is good. Always good. Void Blight, you're thinking about making a sci-fi action RPG set on a ruined space station with emphasis on action. That sounds great. You remember that one Deep Space Nine episode? It doesn't take place on Terok Nor. It takes place on like some other Terok. I forgot what it was called, but it was like another Cardassian space station that was abandoned. They end up having a crazy episode there. It's like Worf and like Nog and like Garrick. Just so good. It makes me think about what you were saying. If I can find that episode, I'll mention it. Gotta head out for a meeting as well. All right, you're more responsible than I am, Rhiannon. Take it easy. I see a bug. I want to fix this. I'll fix that later. All right. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll be back tomorrow. Bye.